to the social media. Now, social media is growing. It definitely has that sticky factor, but it doesn't have the call to action factor. And this guy, I was just so heartbroken. He had spent $10,500 building out his social media. Went to his fan page. He had 114 fans after $10,500 invested. And he was actually getting yelled at, if you can imagine, by his social media outsourced director, telling him that he needs to have more patience than just a year and $10,500 of investment. And he only had 114 fans, number one. But number two, there was no call to action. If you don't have a call to action in your marketing, then you might as well pack up your bags and go away. Same with your website. For any of you out there madly scrambling to look at your own website, ask yourself, is there a call to action? Is there a reason for somebody to call you? And is there an inducement for somebody to call you? The one place that Facebook was just barely trying, I felt like it was just barely trying to take its first step in actual marketing. Yeah, I actually said that. Facebook is terrible marketing. Because of Mark Zuckerberg, which has a terrible view of business. So Mark Zuckerberg's personality comes out in Facebook, and what that means is it's a terrible place to market because the guy does not care about you, the business owner. In fact, he hates you, the business owner. You are a necessary evil, emphasis on evil. Okay, so you are an evil, not even a necessity. He feels like you're not even necessary. Just ask anybody on his board who's trying to argue with him to tell him, like, we need to try to keep our stock values up. So Facebook itself, if they're not careful, is going to get replaced with something else. And no, it's not Google Plus. I really wish it were Google Plus, but it may be something that comes out of nowhere. I mean, Facebook compared to MySpace. I mean, MySpace had no idea what hit them, and I predict that one day there's going to be something that comes out of nowhere that is finally going to get it all together. And maybe it's Google Plus. I don't know, but it isn't there right now. Point is that Mark Zuckerberg gets these, they were just had their marketing arm out the door when we actually used to have real fan pages where you could actually have a real call to action. You used to have little arrows that pointed, click here and you get a free this, or click here and you could have a form where they would fill it out. They actually allowed you to have little custom pages, and then he shut it all down. Does anybody wonder why he shut it all down? Because he's anti-business. He hates businesses. Businesses are actually starting to succeed. That's evil. He's Harvard educated, anti-left wing, everything he could possibly be, hates businesses, and if businesses actually succeed inside of his software, he wants them out. So he's very, very anti-business. So anytime you can get a pro-business, now I'm talking politics, not politics, I'm talking marketing politics. Google is just as left-wing as Mark Zuckerberg, but guess what? They realize that if you're pro-business, even if you're left-wing, you can have all the left-wing issues, but we're pro-business, and they coexist. Nothing wrong with that. So Google, I've learned to become a huge fan of Google, learned to be not an advocate of Facebook. Facebook, in my opinion, is a necessary evil. Not businesses are a necessary evil. So, long story short, with this poor guy spent $10,500 on somebody who was acting like Facebook would actually get him results, and he had no call to action. No call to action. Now, some of you are Soho out there. Soho means basically solely owned, home owned. Okay, so a small office. Home office is really what that exactly stands for. So your Soho out there, he had actually downsized from his office and had actually moved into his home. And the one thing that she did have on his Facebook page, which I fault Mark Zuckerberg for too, is a map to his home. And then when you clicked on a map to his home, then it said P.O. Box. Yeah, how big did that company look? Do you want that guy to be your air conditioning guy? Probably not. Okay, so it really hurt him. Instead, he should have had in that little box, there is a place for a call to action. But Mark Zuckerberg, in fact, if anybody out there is surprised that there is a place for a call to action on the Facebook page, I'm not surprised because he hid it. It's down there at the bottom, down there, very bottom. It's like it'll be like Google requiring that your call to action has to be where you scroll down to the very, very bottom of your page where nobody sees it, and then you can have a call to action. That's what Mark Zuckerberg did to our businesses. Any idea why I can't stand him? All right. So it didn't have to be that way. People were responding. That means that people were finding, they were going into the sandbox of the fan pages. They were actually finding people on their own, finding businesses on their own. So the businesses were separate. And then when they brought him in, I thought, well, maybe Mark Zuckerberg is going to say, well, my board forced us to play together in the same sandbox, so businesses can be together in the same sandbox. But instead, all he did is disempower them. So it was very frustrating. I'm not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg. I am a fan of LinkedIn. Twitter, you have to have, well, that's a show unto itself. We'll talk about Twitter. It's not a necessary evil. It is necessary, but it's a little bit frustrating because it's kind of like, I don't know, the your back bumper. It's no good until you for sure have to use it. So that's your Twitter, but YouTube. My goodness, we're almost up to 1 million views on our YouTube, and we really appreciate all of our viewers out there who are not just listeners, that are viewers, and we really appreciate you. YouTube is a great place. Google's done a great job of optimizing that, and if Mark Zuckerberg could learn one thing, it's called relevance. Mark Zuckerberg, figure out what's relevant for what people want to search for. You know, you can go in with exactly what you're looking for, type it in, can't find it. I can't find anything on Facebook. So they've got a long way to go. So now I want to introduce onto our show someone who may or may not feel the same frustration, but her name is Elaine Glenow. She's a director of therapy, and she has some very interesting thought processes that I want to be able to bring to the forefront. I'm very much into holistic health. I'm an integrative health person. What that means is I believe in modern medicine, and I believe in the medicine that's been developing over thousands of years. So these are things that are very important for us to understand about how they work. And they're also very important to understand how to supplement modern medicine. And by saying modern medicine, I'm not, that should in no way have a bad what's the word? Not denotation, connotation. It shouldn't have a bad connotation for either side. Modern medicine is modern. That's great. It's had some quantitative analysis. They actually do empirical and use the scientific method, which sometimes they use the scientific method, sometimes they don't, and that's up for debate and a whole show unto itself. But they're new. Whereas we have non-modern medicine, which just because it's not modern, it means it's been around for thousands of years. So which would you rather trust? That those sciences that have been tested for thousands of years, or those like some of our pharmaceuticals have been tested for an entire amount of maybe 3 months? Which one do you think has the longer term value? So the answer is a little bit of both. Okay, and so that's why integrative was important to me. So Elaine, not Elena, my apologies.
It's okay.
Tell us a little bit about the way you have integrated some of this stuff. You kind of have evolved on just what works. You're a just what works therapist, correct?
Right. I'm into problem solving, and yes, I agree that it's important to integrate, because I've always done integrative medicine. It's because I don't think there's just one way to resolve a problem, such as I did some consulting up in British Columbia, Canada, when they were having a long time in returning injured workers back to work. And that's because what they did was they would do 6 months of physical therapy after a worker was injured, see how he did or she, and then the next 6 months were chiropractic care, and then they would go either to massage for 6 months or acupuncture, and then if they went to massage, then they'd finish up with acupuncture. And so when I went up there, I said, well, I can see what your problem is. You know, you're isolating the body. The body is a composite of
Mhm.
many systems. I said, when someone's injured, they really need to focus on getting well 24/7. I said, why not take a group of injured, workers, and keep them busy, morning and afternoon, 5 days a week. Going to see in the morning maybe the physical therapist, chiro in the afternoon. The next day they do maybe massage, acupuncture. They need to be doing that, and so they did that. And then 6 months later, they said they were actually reducing the sick leave off the job down to only 6 months by integrating. And a lot of clinics have now come up that have one of every modality. I worked in such a clinic in Beverly Hills, and actually Santa Monica, and it was wonderful because we all talked about the different cases and how each of us could contribute with our knowledge, what was the missing piece, and when we could integrate, which came first. Would they go to a naturopath first, and then an osteopath, and the chiro, then a physical therapist, and so we orchestrated and combined nutrition. And I think I would say that modern medicine is for the immediate, acute care. That's why we have such great results with our soldiers.
Mhm.
They take them immediately to the trauma center and everything, and have saved many lives.
Sure.
And yet we also need to respect some of the old Ayurvedic medicine, the acupuncture that has stood the test of time. And so blending the East with the West, I think you get a more complete treatment protocol for the patient,
Mhm.
and faster results, and you educate the people. And another fun thing I've been exploring is quantum physics and applying that to the human body.
That's amazing. When we come back from break, it's going to be a very short last segment. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about the quantum physics, how that works together, and how integrative medicine can be helpful, both to soldiers as well as to those who feel like maybe they're just a soldier of life. So don't go away. We'll be right back after the break.